In this video, I will provide instructions on how to complete a Nearpod assignment. You're going to log in to the Canvas website, and then you're going to go to a particular module. I'm going to show you first that I have some tips for how to complete Nearpod listed here under the orientation module. As we scroll down, we're going to see that it's a Nearpod because it's going to have a little symbol, like a little movie symbol, and the word Nearpod. So you're going to click on that and you'll be redirected to Nearpod. You will then need to log in. You may have to do this for every Nearpod, or it may just be the first one. So you're going to use the sign in with Google Nearpod, and you need to sign in using your ICC@lab email address. If you try to use your home Gmail account, you will not be permitted to get into Nearpod, so make sure you're using the correct email address. As long as you have logged in properly, you will not need a code. You just need to log in. So here are the instructions on how to complete a Nearpod assignment. This particular Nearpod is going to have 4 videos. You need to watch and listen to each video. You will see at the bottom an arrow, which is indicate there's narration. I highly recommend that you listen to each slide. I have narrated each slide. So if you click here, you should be able to hear my voice. By clicking in the blue, this assignment is fairly lengthy because it's the introductory information for the entire course on how to successfully complete assignments. To advance to the next slide, you're going to click the blue arrow on the far right. So here are some tips on how to successfully complete Nearpod. You can start and stop the Nearpod, so you could start it today and finish it tomorrow. However, you must use the same computer and the same browser each time, otherwise it will ask you to start over. In order to get all of your points, you must have 100% completion for that particular Nearpod. This includes listening to all of the slides, answering any embedded questions in videos, answering matching, multiple choice, etc. questions, which we'll look at throughout this Nearpod. You also need to keep in mind, every time you click on the Nearpod, it will say submitted on Canvas, even if you didn't do anything. So submitted does not mean completed. Submitted just means you've clicked on it, and Canvas recognizes that you've clicked on it. To get your points, you have to get 100% completion. You can check your status by looking at the grades on Canvas. So it should also be noted, anytime you click on a Nearpod after the due date, it will show it as late, as you can see here. As long as you completed it successfully before the due date, you can disregard the late notification through Canvas. So let's say you're not sure if you actually completed it. So you went to the Nearpod, you think you're all done, so then you're going to go to Grades, and you're going to click on the assignment. So now when you click on Grades, you can see all of your grades listed. Again, if it's before the due date and you did it, great. If it's after the due date and you click on it just to use it as review, it will show up as late, but don't worry about that. Once it's graded, you will also see a grade here. So let's say if you want to see how much you actually completed. So you're going to click on the Nearpod itself, and you just got to give it a minute. And it's going to show you what I see, which is called a report. So again, this is just saying it was submitted. So then I have to physically go in and grade it. So if I were to see this, I would see that you only completed 69%. So therefore, I would take off some points because you did not get 100% completion. So you got to get 100%. And as we scroll down here, you can even see which questions you skipped. So you could go back before the due date and finish those questions. And if you've got something wrong, it's going to show up here in red. So that's going to show up immediately, which I'll show you in Nearpod. So if I see that you have things incorrect, I'm also going to deduct 0.1 per incorrect question. So that's because you can go back and edit your answers. All right, so that's to know if you actually successfully completed the Nearpod. Once the Nearpod has been graded, you will see a score based on your completion and your accuracy. This is also something similar to what you'll see when I grade the lab photos. Remember, I have to manually grade the Nearpods and the lab photos, which could take me up to a week. Typically, I'm much faster than that. Also, you're going to look at the comments, like why didn't you get all of your points? This is a little conversation bubble, and so this is going to tell you why. So you didn't complete it all. And if you have missed answers, then I would say, here's the correct answers depending on the assignment. All right, so let's go back to the actual Nearpod. So here's what an actual Nearpod is going to look like. They are going to be slides, and it starts with the introductory information for each chapter. And again, you're going to click on the arrow so that you can listen to the narration, which is done by me. Once you're done with the particular slide, you click to the next slide. And you're going to continue doing that. Again, these are narrated. And this is going to be the corresponding with those Nearpod notes, which are your lecture notes. So in other words, this part that is bolded and highlighted is what you're going to fill in on those lecture notes. And again, listen to each slide. The title of this, so you can hear me. I'll give again helpful hints. So you're just filling in the notes until you get to an activity. So this activity is you watching a video. So you're going to watch the entire video, and then when you get to the blue circles, it's going to ask you a question. So for time's sake, I'm just going to go right to the question. You should listen and watch the video, but I'm just going to go to the question.
Expiration date, they tend to lose their potency and may not prevent sunburn as well.
So once you get all of your Nearpod completion, you must answer all of the questions, including embedded in the videos. So this very first one is what we call an open-ended question. So you fill it in and you click submit. Again, you will listen to all of it, but for time's sake, I'm just going to go to the next one. So it says, what is the variable in the second experiment? So we're just going to click on an option, click submit. If we're incorrect, it's going to show you the right answer immediately. The whole point of this is for you to learn the information correctly. And remember, I'm deducting 0.1 point for each incorrect answer. So you got it wrong, so you can back the video up, click on it again, and now we know the right answer. Click submit, and now it'll show green arrow, you've got all of your points. So you can go back and correct those. Let's look at the rest of the kinds of assignments in Nearpod. So this is another open-ended question. What is the purpose of the assignment method? You're going to fill in your answers, click submit, and go to the next slide. Here's more information. These are called drag and drop. So they're exactly what they sound like. So here's the instructions. We're going to scroll that up, and you're going to put these in order. So, and actually I've got two of these, and they all make that correction. So we're going to say observation was first, and I'm just going to make these up as we go. I know these are not all correct purposely, because I don't know all the right answers just yet. So, once you're done with that, so you just click and drag, you will again click submit. I will grade those manually, so you won't know whether you're right or wrong. You are untimed, and you can use your notes. There's no reason not to use all of your resources for this. This is not proctored. So you're going to continue listening to each slide. And these are what we call matching. So often students get to this one and go like, I don't know what to do with this. So you're going to match up the pairs. So the if-then statement, that's a prediction. So you click on the matching pairs. So tentative explanation, have a hypothesis. And let's get some wrong so that way we can, I didn't get that wrong, but again. So that you can see what happens. If you get something wrong, you can go back. It would show up red and do it again. And then click continue, and again, all of these have to be completed to get all of your points. Another type of assignment might be a multiple choice. This is steps in the scientific method that creates graphs. So again, if we get it incorrect, hit submit, it's going to show us the right answer, and we can go back and we can correct it. You're just going to keep clicking on the arrow on the right until we get to a screen. So how do you know when you're actually done? So we're going to, again, keep clicking on the right, and then we get to a screen that says tap to start over, which means you're all done. And the blue arrow on the right disappears. So you also want to make sure that you've completed everything. At the bottom, you can click on the Open Notes Navigator, and you can check to make sure you have seen each individual slide.